Hey everybody, it is Thursday, April 20th, 2003. Welcome to the April public meeting of ANC 5D Zoning and Development Committee. Hope everybody is doing well, staying safe. Let me share my screen real quick and I'll share the agenda for the meeting real quick. I'm going to give a real quick summary of some upcoming cases. And we have two presentations on the docket tonight. So there'll be a presentation for BZA case 20900, project at 1108 Montello, and then there'll be a presentation for BZA case 20906, project at 1251 Moore Street Northeast. So just big picture for ANC 5D, there are 4 upcoming BZA cases and 1 upcoming zoning commission case. The cases, we've got zoning commission case 1527. They actually presented to the BZA last month. They don't yet have a hearing date scheduled. I think in general, you folks, that meeting is also publicly saved on YouTube. I think it's fair to say the ANC kind of pushed back a little bit. They asked them to reconsider the amount of affordable housing they would provide. We have 1108, that's the one zoning commission case. For the BZA case, we have 1108 Montello. I won't say any more of that because it's being presented in just a few minutes. Same thing goes for BZA case 20906. That'll be for 1251. They'll present this evening. Then we have BZA case 20885 for 1400 Montello. We won't discuss that. They actually presented to the ANC last month, and the BZA voted to support the case 5-2-1. And just a reminder for the commissioners, they need to get in their BZA, their ANC report for that hearing prior to the hearing date. And then there's also a BZA case 20853 for 1212 Oates Street. That was that case on Oates where the developer elevated the porch roof and did some other things that neighbors weren't a big fan of. They've actually, minutes before their March 29 hearing, they postponed that to May, and just a few days ago, they just pushed it out to June. So I don't have any other updates on that. Something to keep for the ANC to keep their mind on, keep their eye on is the BZA hearing dates. The 1108 Montello case, their hearing date is June 7th. So that will be before the ANC's June meeting. So the ANC, if they want to vote and put their thoughts on record for this hearing at the May ANC meeting. Next month's meeting will be the unless this applicant decides to postpone, but the May meeting, they will need to vote on this case in May. The June ANC meetings, June 12th. So they will have an opportunity in either the May or June ANC meetings to vote on the 1251 Moore Street. So that's the upcoming big picture for the cases for the ANC. And before I jump in here, I know there are a few ANC commissioners in attendance. Were there any other items you all wanted to add to the agenda for tonight's meeting?
None from me, Kevin. This is Reed May for 5D08. Thank you for putting all this together, and I'll hop on video as soon as I can. I'm just finishing up putting my son to bed.
No worries. Okay, all right. I'm going to stop my share here, and we're going to jump over to just say it was the first. We're going to go with 20900 for 1108 Montello, and that order of priority was purely set by the hearing dates. So who would like to present for that project? I see Eugene. I'm going to maybe promote. I don't recognize that name, so I'm going to promote Eugene Verney to.
Is this for 1108 Montello?
Yes.
That's me. I'm the architect. I'll
Great.
give you guys the talking tonight.
Great.
How's everyone doing?
Good.
I am.
I was just saying, how is everybody? You have Eugene Peroni on from the development team as well. Adam, we love it when you present. Looking forward to it.
Appreciate it. I'm giving a fair warning. I'll share this, but when I've shared with Zoom in the past, I've had some crashes, even with multiple reinstalls. So
What's your
I'm gonna-
operating system? What are
Is
you
it?
doing it on? What are you doing it on? Is it Windows or a Mac?
Oh, it's all Windows.
Make certain everything else on your system except what you are going to be showing and
Okay.
Zoom are shut down. Windows still has memory issues, and
Okay,
Zoom
so that-
consumes lots
That's
of
what I've
memory.
done. It's Zoom and the PDF viewer, and that's it. So we'll see. If I disappear, I'll be back. Let's see how it goes. Hopefully it doesn't explode on everyone. Okay, it says I'm screen sharing. Can everyone see this?
Yep,
Yes.
good so far.
All right, let's see how long this lasts. My name's Adam Crane. I'm architect and owner of Two Plies LLC. We are an architecture firm that focuses primarily on developments in Washington, D.C. Today we're talking about 1108 Montello Avenue Northeast, right on the corner of Montello and Florida Avenue.
Yep, we just lost him. Oh, nope,
Look
there he
at
is.
that. Just like he said it would happen. It's actually
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah, like clockwork.
We can't hear
you're
you.
muted.
Sorry, what I
Eugene, do
did
you
in
want to-
anticipation of that is I sent an email with a PDF to both Jacob and Eugene. So can one of you guys do a share and I'll do the talking, if that's fine? It'll be just like at the BZA hearings where I asked them to go next slide.
Yeah, let's see, Jacob, if can you share? I'm on my phone.
Or I can share with anybody.
Can I
And I
be
closed all the other
promoted so that I can share something?
Yeah.
Panelist.
All right, Jacob, I just promoted you to a panelist.
Thank you guys. I have no idea how to fix this. I've tried it.
Memory, Adam.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can still pull it up and talk. It's the sharing that crashes the Zoom.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe Adam, give us the vision, the verbal visual in the meantime while Jacob gets it up there.
Yeah, sure. Well, I guess big picture stuff. We've got an existing 2-level building that's been vacant for a while. The current C of O, I think, is like a retailer store right on the corner. So pretty prominent location. And we're proposing to do additions, convert it to a 9-unit plus retail space. So we'll have some pretty significant changes at the front in the corner with bay windows, which we've been working in tandem with DDOT, which I think are really going to make a strong appearance on the street, really punch up the exterior on both Florida and Montello. Some very nice streetscape improvements.
It's next to a condo building now, is it not?
So there's a condo building. I know there's one right behind it.
I think the one immediately to its west is also a condo building. I'm not positive, but I think it is.
It seems to be
Yeah,
the trend
I like-
over there.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
Hey,
next
all right.
door. Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay, cool. All right. So what we're looking at, thank you, Jacob, for sharing this. I'm sorry to make you do this. I wish I was more tech savvy. So what we're looking at right now, the existing site plan in red, we'll be keeping obviously the party wall, portion of the front wall, portion of the rear wall. If you guys care about zoning technicalities, this is a little over lot occupancy and a little into the existing rear yard. If we were building this building new, it wouldn't be able to be this big, but there's some grandfathering that's going on. That's why it sticks out that far in the back. You'll see in the bottom right-hand side of the existing site plan, there is an existing curb cut. And working with DDOT, we'd love to keep it. They're not so keen on that, so that's going to go, and that will be closed in. So we're having no on-site parking, which is why that has led us to go to the BZA for ask for parking relief, which is why we get to hang out with you guys tonight. So that's the genesis of why we're here. Next slide we're looking at. Thank you, Jacob, for being on cue. Proposed site plan. So you'll see the outline of the building's changing a fair bit with the bay windows that are going over the property line in public space. Again, we'll be looking at those in elevation and perspective view to kind of see how that's playing out. I think you're going to be excited with what we're proposing. DDOT's requested a short-term bike rack on the left-hand side on the front so people can get their bike stolen. We've got some area ways there on both sides for light for the cellar level units that we'll be proposing. And you can go to the next slide. this is an early stage rendering that we had. There'll be some changes with balconies and whatnot going on with DDOT. Kind of wanted to give you guys the aesthetic that we're after with large bay windows. I think DDOT calls this a show window around the corner. But we're really trying to make a strong presence and facade on both streets that wrap around this corner. You should, okay. This is our zoning analysis if you care to dive in. I think the floor plans are probably best explained. Jacob, go forward one more slide. One more, so it shows the beds layout. There'll be beds in there. There we go. Okay, so starting in the bottom right, we got the cellar plan. We have 2 units that we're proposing down there with the required bike room. Once you hit 8 units, you have to provide indoor long-term bike storage. Those are accessed from a side entry there you see between the bay windows at the first floor. This light blue shading on the left-hand side of the first floor, that's the retail space we're proposing. Developer and owner have not identified a tenant yet, so I don't know if it's going to be a restaurant, coffee shop, or a law firm. I don't know, but right now it's just kind of a place with big windows for now and tall ceilings. Got a 3rd unit on the rear hand side of first floor. Up to the 2nd floor, we're proposing 3 units there. Going up to the 3rd floor, 3 more units, and we have in the back we're sneaking in another bedroom that would be attached to the unit in the rear of the 2nd floor. 2 of those 3rd floor units will be multi-level, leading up to the penthouse / 4th floor, with roof terraces. You see. And so if we continue on in the slides, these are just more detailed floor plans if you care to dive into some of the details. You know, showing dimensions, bathrooms, bedrooms. I'm not sure if you guys are interested in getting into that, but I realize you're probably looking at big picture stuff today. Again, the retail space with unit 3 in the back. Again, 3 units here at the 2nd floor, 3 units plus a portion of the unit at the rear here. Then the next one will have the penthouse level with terraces. So moving forward from that, roof plan, we will have the zone does require green area ratio, so we will have green roof in here at various levels, probably permeable pavers in the back. We'll flesh all that out as we get into the green roof stuff.
Adam, are those occupied roof decks?
On the front back of the penthouse, yes. And also
Okay.
the 3rd floor. We plan for those to be occupied.
Cool.
So green roof probably happen at the uppermost roof. If more is needed, we usually end up taking a portion of the occupied roofs. But yeah, we try and give our realtors love to tell us give as much outdoor space as possible. So and we actually just got DDOT comments back. I guess it was OP comments for Shaheen. I think yesterday, the day before. So there's going to be some more balconies on here. So there'll actually be a little more outdoor space for a lot of the units here. So they're actually promoting some of the facade modulation here with those balconies. I think after this, we would just have some of the section drawings to kind of, or I guess the front facade. See, we're proposing a lot of glass, so kind of interact with the streetscape there. Section drawings color coded with all the units as we showed. And you can see some of the terracing here where we've got those green roofs and the penthouse setbacks. So got terraces at the rear 2nd, rear 3rd, and the penthouse level. And I think we got one more slide. Yep, just another section. So that's it. Yeah, and so I mean, obviously, with 9 units, we would need what 2 parking spaces with a 50% reduction with the parking relief. That brings down to 1. We can't provide it on site because we're closing the curb cut. So parking relief, I think, is what we're after here.
So you're
That's
looking
right.
for to provide no spaces basically for parking.
We actually can't. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, we just can't. So and so if by right, we'd be going up to 4 units. Right.
Mhm.
So any more than that, we'd have to go through the BZA. So it's that DDOT, I guess, closing in the requirement of the curb cut that's brought us here. I think I should point out if we want to go to maybe like the 3rd slide. Sorry, Jacob, to bring you back. Go one more to the 2nd. So it's worth pointing out. Yeah, I mean, if you see kind of the red outline, kind of the curved corner at the front, it kind of doesn't quite meet the property line there. It's pulled back. And then Jacob, if you go down to the third slide, we are pulling the building up to then have those bay windows in public space, which we think is going to be aesthetically a lot nicer. So we're actually increasing the lot occupancy a little bit to achieve that. Which obviously we've got the existing rear wall, the first floor that's remaining. So we are asking for a slight increase in lot occupancy that we're having to deal with to get these bay windows, just because it's kind of an odd layout as it is.
So we talked about this last month. I think the general consensus is we're actually, the neighborhood's pretty excited about this project. You know, we like the design, we like the density on this specific corner. What's been there for many years needs an improvement. So we're really happy to see what you've brought forward here. We have a couple questions just on maybe not really the relief that you're seeking, but more just kind of on the building and some of the decisions there, just clarifications for us. And then some of them might be suggestions for you all to consider as well. So I have just a list that I'll go through and skip, and others feel free to jump in. It appeared that there would be exterior fire escapes incorporated into this, or we had a question about egress from the upper levels and if that was something that was going to be needed, and it may be not, but that's just something that we were curious about. No, not proposing any exterior fire escapes. I actually don't think they're allowed by code anymore. It's been a while since code's allowed that. And projects I've worked for where we've tried to retain existing ones, we had to have like a structural inspection to say they're still in use as they're grandfathered. So I don't think it's something you can propose. So our upper units are basically egressing two ways, one to the front, one to the side. Okay. So it's kind of split from I guess a landing there at the second floor. So you kind of get the option. Yeah, but, can you go to that section that you had? Because I don't think we had seen that before, but that's very helpful.
Yes, yeah. I noticed that today. The center stairs, the ones that are on from Montello itself, they go up to the second floor, and then that's the first staircase, and the other staircase meets there, and then it continues. Yeah, correct. Third floor. Yeah. Yeah, we don't have a fire escape. There. It's stair one that's coming up from the other side. Yeah, basically, and cross section 3, I think, cuts through that. So it's that second entrance from the side.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. We were curious about garbage and how that was going to get handled. Yep. So if we'll go to slide number 3, which is the proposed site plan.
It's in behind.
Yeah, so now that we've got this existing parking space and curb cut being removed, we have the opportunity to fit the trash in the rear. So we've got this little rear yard that really is not being used by any one unit. So I think that's really where we've located our trash bins. We show 2 there. Obviously, I think, depending on what retail goes, if it's a restaurant, it's going to be a lot bigger, but we've got room to grow the trash area back there. So that's really where we've allocated it.
So that whole exterior yard could become whatever services are needed. Yeah. Okay.
I have a concern over the size of the units. Okay. In that, to me at least, they seem very small. I saw 500 and 600. I think one was 700, like 725 square feet.
Sure. We've got the net areas listed. This would be on PDF page 6. And right in there, the net area totals.
Okay. Yeah. So one's actually 1,218. And my concern is with so many people now working from home and it may not change, especially in the smaller units, people may start getting, a little stir crazy if they're all in one room type thing. Yeah. That's my only concern in that regard.
Is the WeWork still on H Street that's walkable from here?
H Street should be walkable from there, yes.
Yeah. Well, I know there's a WeWork there that I spent a lot of time at.
I'm actually not sure if it's there still.
Yeah.
I
that's what was
don't
wondering.
think I don't think the WeWork is.
Yeah, yeah. No, I know, yeah, I know, I realize work from home's, you know, a big thing, but it's really hard to determine what kind of occupation, every tenant or buyer is gonna go in, and assuming that they have a work from home job, so.
What does type B mean, by the way?
Type B is like, it's a quasi accessible unit that's convertible. So someone that needs the accessibility can be easily converted.
So
but
that's
it's
the
not.
one on the first floor. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, all first floor units will need to be there, yeah. So, yeah, so we wouldn't, it's not gonna come with grab bars and fully accessible, but it can be converted.
Adam, I'd like to go, if we're done talking about, actually, let's finish off talking the unit size. I actually want to go back to Andrew's question on the trash. And I think
Sure.
the best way to talk about that is I'm going to do a screen share from the street.
Yeah.
So we see the
Okay.
context, but I don't want to jump on.
Yeah, I
Skip,
was just expressing my concern about the sizing because in my neighborhood, they built a bunch of ones that now have very small spaces, units, and they're beginning to have trouble selling. They're having a little bit of trouble selling them because they are so small.
Sure. No, for what it's worth, appreciate the feedback. You know, I think we agree with you. There's one unit in here that the way laid out is tighter than we'd make it ideally. The one that's under kind of 600 square feet. The rest of them, you know, the ones that are, I think the rest of them all 700 or more, and most of them are 900 or more. Those for us feel pretty good, but we definitely see that one unit. Unfortunately, just the site constraints are making that one unit tougher to make a little bigger. So the point is really well taken.
Okay, the one that's 500 and something, I think, is what you're talking
Correct.
about.
Correct. Yeah. Like that's not ideal. Like we totally agree with you.
That's my main concern. I've been seeing it too much, and it's.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to share my screen real quick. I'm going to jump on. I just want to show this to you here. So, are you guys seeing my screen?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let me close these. Yes, it popped up. So this is that area back here. That's about 10 feet from this building. This building is built to its property line. I think this is 1112 Montello. So your building will replace this structure in this area here. So I'm just thinking about, and you mentioned there's a curb cut being closed. Is that the curb cut you're saying DDOT wants to close?
Yes.
All right,
I
so we
can
have a
see why,
9
because of the bus.
So we have a 9-unit apartment building with potentially a restaurant. How will the trash work? I'm thinking about like dumpsters and recycling. Like, how will that work?
Yeah. Well, we've got, I mean, that 10-foot space spans the entire width of the rear yard, which is what, I don't know, 20 feet, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a 20 by 10 space to fit all that trash in. So I guess whatever enclosure or fenced area can be expanded or contracted based on the usage.
Yeah, and screened. Like for what it's worth, we appreciate that people don't want to see trash.
Or they'll want us to screen. Yeah, it's going to definitely be screened. But
Okay.
yeah, I guess what I'm saying, I'm pretty confident we've got the space back there, but it's hard to, you know, whether it's a restaurant, if it's an assembly use versus a small store, it's going to be different trash use.
Well, don't even show the
And
people.
by the way, somebody
See before down here.
could somebody mute your mic? You've got a hot mic here.
That's that.
Yeah, but this is where here they stand clear.
If you click on it, what happens
Oh.
here?
Somebody needs to mute their mic.
Whoever the host is just needs to mute them.
Okay, I need to see who is.
It's Henry Thomas. There he goes.
Oh.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. Sorry. So yeah. So just how would it work? As in, like the truck would drive up here and then pull out the containers and empty it out. That's the general. Okay. All right. Do any of the neighbors have any concerns about that?
Sorry, how would a truck drive up without a curb cut?
Oh, it's just going to park on the street.
Okay.
There's no other option, to be honest. No, and regardless of the use, they're making us close that curb cut. So if we put a single family house here, it'd be the same situation.
No, I wanted to clarify. If there's a dumpster back there, that gets tricky, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I think that should be an argument to DDOT to not close the curb cut. Like, just like the argument you said, even if it was a private home there would still need to be the trash truck to be able to get up in there, which is just going to be impossible. So maybe DDOT is not aware that trash will need to be picked up from this area. But there hasn't been a business here for, years.
We promise you, we've tried really hard to convince them not to close it. We certainly will bring it up. Unfortunately, they've been less than receptive to our best arguments about it.
Mm.
That's actually the reason we're here. Because we can't get, because if we had that curb cut, we use it as a parking spot and relocate trash elsewhere, but we can't.
All right, I'm going to stop my share so you gentlemen can reshare your screen, go back to, because I'm sure people are going to have questions on the plans. Just wanted to read that real quick. There's also a question from the panel. Commissioner Roblin has asked, and this is her single member district. Are there any affordable units, and what type of businesses are you considering for it?
Sure. So from a retail standpoint, it's too early. We haven't really kind of figured out who's going to be in there. Generally speaking, this is a small retail space. I think we're kind of around 600, 700 square feet. So we'd expect some kind of neighborhood retail use, versus call it, something that's a little more intensive. And we're certainly like open to feedback, and we're open to even referrals as we get this kind of going and try to figure out who this space works for and what's complementary to residences next door, right? It's important for us that retail use doesn't interfere with the residential use in the area. So that's kind of called the retail piece. From an affordability standpoint, these are nine for sale condos, and none of them are there's no affordable set aside in this project.
Would you all be amenable to changing one of the units to where the space, the retail space could be larger, so it could theoretically be a cafe or a restaurant? Because at the size it is now, and with the plumbing that you have, kind of blocked out on the map, it couldn't lend itself to a coffee house. There's not enough plumbing in a reasonable location for it to be anything but a liquor store, which is what it has been historically. It'd be nice to see something else.
We would never put a liquor, like for what it's worth, as an owner, we wouldn't put a liquor store into this corner from as a real estate owner. I'll tell you that we are flexible with the space, in that it can really go from 600 to 1,200 square feet, depending on who we can find for it. But something that's like the goal is to build condominiums, get families to move there. I think you'll find that we're very sensitive to putting in something that's complementary to kind of the intended user base for the actual condos.
If you are thinking of a cafe or something like that, and I agree there may not be enough space for one there, I would recommend that you look into, and I don't know if this is possible, Andrew may know better than I do on this score, but this is in light of the pandemic. I live over in Langston, and one of the things I've noticed on H Street are the businesses that have had outdoor space have survived the pandemic. The businesses that have not had any access to outdoor space have not survived the pandemic well. That's particularly true for restaurants and things like that. So McKetcha has been fine. A few others have been fine. Others have shut down. What I'm getting at is I don't know if this will be, the space allows for it. I'm not positive, but at least some space for outdoor tables and things like that. What would you say, Andrew? And Commissioner May?
I mean, that's certainly a separate parallel permit that could happen in the future for that retail. Okay. And since the retail is a little bit of a question mark, I feel like that is probably a possibility, something that could happen, since that's all public space. But that may help the smaller retail space to attract a tenant if they're able to use some of that public space for seating. So that may be a viable solution for using us or delivering the smaller retail space. And we had discussed the retail a bit last month, and I think we want to see a successful retail establishment go in there. So we want it to be suitable for them, and so that's just a concern for us. And so it's we would want to make sure that you're kind of willing to maybe work with a future retailer. Maybe they need more space, maybe it's less, and maybe it's that unit 3 that has adjustments to it. So, but it sounds like you're looking at that now.
I think I'm seeing 17 feet of sidewalk space on the side between the bay window and the tree box. You know, it's really up to DTOT. That's all in public space. So I think they classify that as a sidewalk cafe. So if DDOT would approve something over there, then that's a possibility for outdoor space on the side. I think the sidewalk at the front's too narrow to allow anything, so it would be only on the side.
Yeah, agreed.
Andrew,
Skip, I could you go back? There's a view of the first floor or the plan. I think one of the things we were trying to wrap our heads around, we were talking last month, is to enter the retail space, you have to go through a door that would probably be key carded for the people space. It seems like the door for the retail is on the wrong side. It doesn't seem like this is being set up for retail.
We have 2 doors for the retail, so you can come in from the side or the front.
Okay.
So there's 2 stairway accesses. And we're open to modifying that as well.
But each version, you're almost. I mean, I think we're all really hoping there's going to be great retail, but it almost seems like there should be a separate, for the residents. Like if this is a restaurant or a coffee shop, I mean, I doubt it'll be a restaurant. I shouldn't say that actually, but as one of the neighbors pointed out, when you're only showing one small bathroom and no fit out for kitchens, it's unlikely. But
yeah,
it seems like the entryway.
The fit up will be done based on the tenant's requirements. I've done a lot of restaurants. I'm part owner of a couple, so I'm very familiar with that. So we wouldn't design a kitchen until you reverse engineer from your menu, right? Your menu knows the kitchen equipment, then you do the kitchen. So it'd be shot in the dark or blind guess doing a kitchen at this point. I think that the landlord would work hand in hand with any tenant that would come in. We do have 3 windows beyond the 2 doors we already provide as access to the space that could be easily converted into dedicated space going directly in, 1 on the front, 2 on the side. So it would be a bit of a catwalk over the areaway below. But that's I think would be working through with the tenant, but I think it's going to be a little more reactive to who ends up leasing the space. It's really hard to design, for a tenant that doesn't exist. So I mean, right now there things are a little bit fluid in the fact that, we've got, I think right now we're showing 1,200 square feet of retail space. With unit 3 at the rear, it could expand to become larger, wrap around the stairs up and take a portion of that. So really the retail space can modulate based on, can shrink or grow depending on the tenant size, and that extra space on the first floor can go back into unit 3. So there's a lot up in the air and there's a lot of unknown.
Okay, so right now when you're saying earlier the retail could be from 600 to 1,200. Right now you're showing a 1,218 square foot option, but it could actually be smaller than that. Yeah,
I mean, just I guess there on the first floor, just pull more green to the left and reduce the blue. There'd be a hallway wrapping around behind the stairs. So I guess this is a scenario. There's many scenarios, I guess, depending on the size of the retail.
We ultimately drive it to the tenant that we find. And if it's helpful, just like by way of example, we did about 5 very similar projects to this in Baltimore. They're contiguous, very similar size building, very similar kind of retail with apartments above. Our retail tenant mix there, just to give you an idea, they were all 600 to 900 square feet worth of retail areas. And our retail tenant, there's a bookstore, a tea house, a juice bar, an ice cream shop, and like a wellness studio. Like those were kind of, and they were the ones that went into like a very similar type of project that we thought complemented the residential very well also, for whatever it's worth, just like as a data point. Obviously we see what we can find, but that's kind of who we've seen historically work well in a project in space of this size.
Could you show the 3D rendering again? Again, I'm just trying to wrap my head around, if this becomes retail, what are the entrances? Yeah, this view here.
Yeah, so right now, I guess on the right-hand side of that bay window, we've kind of got that overhang little rain shelter. You're looking at 2 windows that are above the plant. And the third one, kind of the darker gray area, right now that's shown as the second retail entry. And I guess my point earlier was that either one of those 2 windows could become a direct entry. And that same condition exists on the front side, which is a bit out of view in this perspective, where there's a window that could be converted to a direct entry and then a shared entry with the units above. I suspect that one of these three would become a direct entry, if that were what the retail wanted.
But aren't those windows like areaway projections? Are you allowed to put an entryway in public space?
Allowed to put an entry. I don't know of any DDOT issues that would not allow that.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. I mean, we do. I guess they call them stoops or porches. Yeah, we do plenty of those all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I can kind of picture that. There's some areas around the city, I think down in I think Navy Yard might have a couple things like that.
I wanted to give it another 5 minutes for this project here because I want to be respectful of folks' times and I want to, move on to the next presentation.
Kevin, Commissioner Roblin wants to ask a question. She posted it in the text.
Oh,
That's what I was trying to tell you before.
We should definitely recognize it.
Thank you. I'm sorry I have a lot of noise here, but it would be really great if you could make any of the units a little bit larger. That's where I'm coming from, because it is much better for the community. And also you could consider that it might be hard to sell, especially eventually. That's all I have to say.
No, thank you for the feedback, and it's well taken.
One other question.
Sorry, Andrew.
Do you know how likely it is that you would or that you could?
I mean, we're going to take a look. I think on the 8 of the units are all a pretty generous size. It's really that 9th unit. And we'll certainly take a look. Like I think if we are able to squeeze anything, it's going to be at the margin, right? Get it up maybe 20, 30 square feet, but we'll certainly take a look. We'd like it a little bigger also. So we'll certainly see if we can push a little bit.
Thank you.
Something I thought crossed my mind. There's I think what they're called. There's a realtor to the right of the what do you call that station? The fire station. And a lot of people kind of don't, once you're in the residential neighborhood, you shouldn't have big commercial signs. And I think if they put their commercial sign on Florida Ave, that's one thing, but instead they put it on, is it Staples Street, Andrew?
Oren.
It's on Oren Street. And we don't want to see that happen here, because it's, it is so many I could see somebody being tempted, like, it's off Florida Ave, but we don't want to see suddenly like signage. What's that place called, that realtor? The Jason Martin Group. They put a kind of a larger than normal sign on, and I know it's right off, it's good advertising for them. Let me quickly share my screen. Okay.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay. So, here, there was an opportunity for commercial here to become a real estate. I think there is a difference between, signage on Florida Ave, which is major thoroughfare, versus on Oren. Like, that wouldn't have been, if you do that, can you promise us you're not going to do this on the broad face of the building? Because I think, honestly, this is just a little tacky. I understand why he did it. It's good advertising, lots of traffic, but like, you're in the residential neighborhood. You're inside of Florida Ave.
Sure. I think if you look at Google Street View and how this building's laid out, right, it's kind of really skinny and really long. I think it's a fair expectation that the only place that'd be retail signage is on that little corner area, kind of like what's on Google Maps right now. Like the remaining, it's about 90 feet in length. Like that remaining 70 feet in length, which is all residential in one way. Like, there's A, we wouldn't let a retailer put signage there, but B, neither would those condo owners that own those condos, in my opinion, ever let somebody put signage in front of their windows, especially with lights and things of that nature. It's a little different than the apartment building, I think, example in that regard.
I'd like to jump in with a couple. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Just a couple quick things. So I think one of the things you said that you're asking for, Adam and Eugene, is a little bit of a variance related to occupancy because of that bump out with the windows in the front corner there. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, it's a 3% variance, a lot of occupancy.
Okay. One of the things that we want to make sure of is, can you just touch on, how will that affect the right of way, the sidewalk in that area?
Yeah, I can talk. I can pull up the slides, or I can just talk about it. Probably best if we're looking at slide number 2 or 3, the existing versus proposed. So right now, there's a small existing portion of the bay window on the Florida Avenue side on the front.
Right.
Our new bay window will roughly extend about to that distance, about 4 feet past the property line, but it's going to be a lot larger. Obviously, we want to wrap the corner in that to get that kind of striking street presence. Really have that large attractive element wrapping the corner there. So it's going to be a little bit bigger. It will take up a little more of the sidewalk. To this point, we've been in submission with our DDOT review through TOPS. We've been in conversation with DDOT as part of the BZA case. They've been really receptive to this, even suggesting that we add more outdoor balconies. So they seem to be supporting this. They're calling it a show window there. So they seem to be on board with it.
Okay.
And
do you know
yeah,
how much or how wide the sidewalk will remain there in the usable space in the front?
I do.
I'm thinking
We've
specifically on Florida.
Yeah, so in
There
Florida,
we
we're showing from the front of our bay window to the tree box 6 feet. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got
Okay.
6 feet
Okay.
there.
Okay. So 6 feet to the tree box, a little further to the curb.
Yeah, and then you've got a much larger sidewalk on the other side of Montello.
Yep. Okay. No, that's helpful. The other thing I want to circle back on it. So I know you mentioned these are planned to be market rate units. I don't speak for the whole ANC, but as this is my 4th month with ANC 5D, and I can definitely tell you that when you come before the group for approval, even though what you're asking about is parking and the lot occupancy variance, they're probably we're going to push you on affordability. And again, I'm trying to be upfront with you that I think you may struggle a bit more with no willingness to make even one of the units an IZ unit. So it's something I'd encourage you to think about. I recognize there are market forces at play and that it's not something you have to do, but I do think you're likely to get pushed pretty hard when you come before the whole commission.
And I agree with Commissioner Reed on that. It's my SMD, not that matters a ton, but I'm less like if it is really small units, because like I just put in the chat, someone said the units are generally small, and then someone else said the units are sizable. So I'm a little confused. I'm a little new with what a good size for units are, but also then I personally would really appreciate it if you made at least one of the units affordable. Thank you.
So I think we could keep talking about this for a while. I think they've got a lot of good feedback. I would like to move on to the next next BZA case for the presentation. And I really appreciate Adam, you coming here and describing the project. I really do.
Sure thing.
And Eugene as well. Thank you so much, Eugene.
Thank you for the time, everybody.
Cheers. So who would like to present on behalf of 1251 Morse?
Hi, I can start. This is Marty Sullivan, zoning counsel for the applicant. And I have a PowerPoint presentation with the plans to share. And but the architect Nima is here as well as the owner Sepper Sadeghi. So if I could share. Okay, is that up? Can everybody see that?
Yeah, we can see.
Yep.
Okay, so it's 1251 Moore Street Northeast. I'll go to a photo of it first. This is the existing property, the green building. And what's proposed is an addition to the side, because there's a side yard here now. So to close off the side yard and go to the lot line with the side addition, a 3rd-story addition, and a continuation of this cornice here. And then in the back, there's a rear addition for which we're asking for 10-foot rule relief as well. So The areas of relief are 10-foot rule. This will be 15 feet past the adjacent rear wall on one of the sides. We're just adjoining a wall on one side. And then side yard requirement, there is no side yard requirement, but you're not allowed to eliminate an existing side yard. You'll see on the plans, there's a closed court provided inside to get some light into some of the units, and we'll need relief for that. We need relief for the extension of the cornice itself. We need architectural element relief for that. And then also asking for a 3-unit conversion under the 900-foot rule to add a 3rd unit. And they'll all be 3-bedroom units, all 3 of the units. So I'll turn it over to Nima to talk about the property and go through the plans here.
Thank you, Marty. Hi, this is Nima. I'm architect designer for the project. Basically, as you see, it's an old single family house, 2-story, and my client wants to expand it to the side and add some to the back and add a new story on top to have like 3 condo apartment this property. We saw there are a lot of same thing that happened in the same street. So we really try to see if we can get the relief for that and do the same thing. If we go to the floor plans, you'll see we have pretty good size apartments, and we have a central courtyard to bring the lights to the space. And based on the size of a lot, the size of the units are like around 1,500 square feet each one. And we really try to keep the main facade as is and don't change it a lot to keep the pattern with the next door units, which is still not changed a lot there. But the one in the next door, I think they recently did the renovation, but the facade is same as before. So any question, if you have, I can take it.
Yeah, and I can finish up talking about the BZA criteria if the committee's interested in that. So there's a side elevation too. So there's the general requirements. It would be in harmony with the general and purpose intent of the regs and the zoning maps. For these reasons, I won't read through all these word for word, but I do want to point out that if the building, what can be done as a matter of right is you could raise the building, and then there would be no architectural element relief, and you could build lot line to lot line. So the side yard relief and the architectural element relief would go away. So the height itself is a matter of right. It's an oddity of the regs, I think, that you can't eliminate a side yard, but you can build a side yard new. It almost encourages the raise of these buildings sometimes. The one thing we couldn't do if we raised the building was do 3 units. So the specific requirements for the side yard, the court, the 10-foot roll, and the architectural elements is the light and air, privacy, character scale, and pattern test. Light and air is not unduly affected regarding the side yard or the additional 5 feet at the rear, and we do have a shadow study. I'll find that and share it. I thought it was going to be in the presentation, but it's not. But I can go find it on my computer and share it. And privacy, use, and enjoyment. No windows, of course, on the sides, so it won't be any impact on the privacy. Actually, eliminating some windows, so it increases the privacy. And the cornice extension obviously won't have any impact on the privacy. Character, scale, and pattern, I'll note, and Nima can talk more about this if you want. The cornice is being extended in its same style. So rather than removing it or replacing it, it's just going to be continued to the side. For the conversion, the specific requirements are the one that the building exists and two, that we comply with the 900-foot rule. So we need 2,700 square feet to do 3 units, and the property is 3,634 square feet. So if you have any questions, I'll go find the shadow study that can present in the meantime.
I had a question about the, when I look at the plans, at least the plans that were uploaded to the BZA case record, it looked as if the third story was the exact same dimension as the first, almost looked like a copy and paste. But is there a setback? When we see a lot of the new third story additions, there's like, they're setting them back like 6 feet from the edge. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah,
I mean, they require setback when there's a mansard roof. Like, I mean, the zoning administrator requires a 3-foot setback, even though there's no regulation to that effect for a mansard roof. He doesn't require anything for the cornice. And we're not asking for any kind of height relief, and we're not impacting the cornice. So I don't think it's the kind of case that would work for a setback. And I don't know if the setback would look, Nima could talk more if that would fit in the character scale and pattern as much as doing it straight up.
Yeah, we actually didn't need it to do the setback, but because we want to keep the same facade, we just try to have that cornice to be maintained, and just add like mansard roof on top of it to have the different view. But yeah, but based on the code, we don't need to do the setback.
Do you have a 3D render? So I mean, I'm just having a hard time picturing what's this going to look like.
Can you go to the side elevation, Martin? Yeah, I think next page. Oh, previous one. Martin, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Which one did you want, Nima?
I want to go to the side elevation. To the side elevation. I want to show
you see it here.
Yeah, the side elevation. The one in the presentation.
Okay, I'm confused.
You're showing the
Maybe.
shadow study, not the site elevation.
Okay, all right. This I'm sorry. The screen share switched pages on me. So or switched computer screens. So thank you for clearing that up for me.
We are still looking
How's
at
that?
the shadow. We're still looking at the shadow study.
It's got to be coming soon then, because they're both on the same. I don't see my shadow study now. Sorry, I got 3 screens and I've got on the. But you know what? I'm going to stop share and share again.
Okay.
That would be a good idea.
While he's doing that, and we do appreciate you guys doing whatever you can. I think this series of houses they're all dating from the 1890s, or some of the oldest houses in Trinidad. So I think it is very important to maintain that architectural continuity and style.
Yeah, that's what we really wanted to do. Actually, if you look at this, the front side, the right side of this elevation, from the floor to the second level 2, level 3, actually, there is a bay window which we maintain it and put a railing on top of it. And from there to the top of parapet wall, you see we have like an angle go back. So that's basically the only setback that we have and make the mansard roof. So if you look at the front elevation, okay, this one. See this area, we will have the mansard roof with the slate shingles to just keep everything on the bottom as is, to not, highlight that top part.
So are those windows essentially dormers then on the third floor?
No, those windows are just gonna get inserted in. We don't want to do a dormer to come
So
out.
they'll be inset in some way.
Yes, inset, correct.
And I noticed the fire stair in the back goes up to the roof. Are you
Yes.
planning on putting a deck on the roof, or is that just for
No,
fire?
no, that's just for the, get access to the HVAC
roof.
system on the roof. Yes.
Okay,
And we want to have fire escape as well in the back. It's a very private area. It doesn't visible. It's not visible from the streets at all.
Is there a rooftop deck on this?
No, we're not going to propose any rooftop.
Okay. Yeah, no,
That's just
I
for
know
the access.
there was a project built next to my house, and they have a similar kind of slope to the roof, and it goes up further than it needed to because they were putting a rooftop deck. But then they decided to only ever use half the roof, and it was unnecessary. They could have actually set back that front. They could have made it a little shorter because no one ever they just put a bunch of HVAC condensers. But
Hi, this is a resident, Michelle Gandy. I'm at 1245. And we have concerns. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We also have concerns with parking. It looks like this unit is going almost all the way to the back. Are you having parking spots?
We do have two parking, and we can have two additional park behind the ones. So we don't have any issue with the parking.
So,
A lot of-
okay, because as it is, we are in dire need of parking on our street. We're out parking sometime 2 blocks away.
Yeah. We actually talk about it with Mr. Saad, the owner of that, and we have a good space in the back to have parking. Actually, I have the plat. I don't know if Marty has it, but
So how many
it's a
feet?
very
How
deep
many-
lots. It's a very
Okay,
deep
how many
lot.
feet back is this building going?
The exact size.
It'll be 25 feet beyond the back of your house, Miss Michelle.
15 feet.
It'll be 25 feet beyond the back of her house.
Wow,
Okay,
that's
her
not
house is
much.
a couple doors down.
Yes. And it'll be
Okay.
25 feet beyond my house, and I'm 2 doors down.
So,
What happens when people have solar panels? Will that third level block the sunlight?
what's your address? This is Henry Thomas, 1243, asking a question.
I was concerned about people that have solar panels with the sun's, would that third level block the sunlight?
Actually, we have the shadow study as well. Marty, can you show the shadow study too?
Sure, but
We're-
I think that's a different question, but here's the shadow study. What this shadow study shows is,
We
Is
still
the
see
addi-
just the elevation, Marty.
oh, for goodness sakes. It's gotta be coming up. All I did was change this thing on the
Elevation.
screen.
I think you're only sharing, like the
It's just
instant.
another tab on my screen. I don't understand.
Okay, the
I'm gonna
elevation
start
we're
getting
looking at, is that a
techno-grumpy now.
basement, first floor, second floor?
We don't have the basement. It's just first floor, second floor, and third floor.
And after the third floor is where you're looking at putting a deck?
No, we are not going to put any deck there. It's going to be the
Oh.
roof. It's just access to the roof.
So, okay, so we're back to the solar panels, because we all have solar panels that we rely on.
I don't know how to answer that question. I mean, we can't answer whether it would block solar panels that don't currently exist.
They do
But
exist.
it wouldn't be likely to block solar panels that are more than one property away.
I can speak as someone who, I have solar panels on the house. A developer built a third edition, and they do block my panels, but I can tell you, I've looked into it. I don't think if it's the adjacent house, the adjoined house, they would care. I honestly think if you are more than one house away, you're not going to see any, negligible impact. That's just my experience. As someone who's we've probably seen his system probably, impacted by at least 30%. But if I was like one house away, I don't think I would have seen anything. But they are required to put in a shadow study, which Marty, if you want, you might need to stop sharing and reshare it just to see it. There is a tool now. The Office of Zoning has this tool where you can go and perform shadow studies and see real time the shade, the 3D zoning map. Would you gentlemen be able to provide us I think there's like a file you can add and then see the impact real time. Is that something you could provide us?
I did the shadow study based on the theoretically, not with the software. So we just make the 3D of that and have the shadow and show how much impact has in the neighbors. But as you see, we only have shadows at 9 a.m. on the right side of the building. And even on the left side, we don't have that much shadow on the roof. So basically, because of the orientation of the building, we will not have that much problem for the solar exposure.
So at 9 a.m., it will impact my solar panels, which means probably at 10, then going away at 11 to then be gone at noon. So I definitely will be impacted, and also the sun comes up before 9. My concern.
Where's your house?
I'm 1247. I'm 2 houses away.
Which
two houses away is not gonna impact it. Just the right side, just the next door is gonna be impacted.
Now, if you can see this first picture you have here, the house beside it is entirely impacted, and then that's going into the property next to that under 9 a.m.
No, only this is the additional shadow from the 5 feet.
It's not going to be like that because of the height of the building. It's not going to even reach to the edge of your roof. That's too away from the building.
I have some concerns about going to the property line on the left-hand side. The drawings that you all submitted actually seemed to show it in reverse. It seemed to flip-flop it. It had it kind of the house being extended out to the right-hand side when looking at it straight on, which in reality, it'll be extended out to the left-hand side is what you're proposing. And I have concerns about it going to the property line. First off, visually, that whole section of the block there has the 2. So it will, totally throw off the aesthetics. And then also the property line, like coming up to the property line, that other house, what if in the future, then they came to the property line? Like, I feel like it has the potential for a lot of future problems, along with changing the whole aesthetics of the street.
I mean, I could bring up the photos of the existing condition of the property now too.
Sure.
What can be done as a matter of right is that this building can be raised and none of the architecture can be saved, and it can be built from lot line to lot line.
So I don't know if you realize, but when you say what you can do is to raise it, it sounds like a threat. Like if you don't, like if you all don't agree to what we're proposing, we'll just come in and knock the whole place down. So I don't know if you intend for it to sound threatening, but that's how it comes across.
Sure does.
No, I don't intend for it to sound threatening, but the BZA is going to look at this in comparison to what we're asking for relief for. So they look at it as what's the matter of right and what are we asking for in addition to the matter of right. And so that's just how they look at it. Here's a property that's obviously in great disrepair, and the applicant has the opportunity to provide 3-bedroom units, three 3-bedroom units. And so there's a lot of positives to this application as well. So I don't really know how to argue the side addition aesthetics. It's such a subjective standard. I don't really know what the BZA is going to say or the Office of Planning is going to say.
I mean, is it negotiable on your end, or is it like a deal breaker?
Well, I'm not the owner. So Sepper, do you want to speak to that?
Am I added in here? Oh, here we go. Unfortunately, the property value is so expensive, I wouldn't be making any profit if I don't do that. The cost of construction is through the roof. I paid quite a bit for the property.
But
So
if we weren't in support of that, you would somehow be able to find the money to go up higher and back more and all the things that we're being threatened with. So a little curious about that.
Well, this is Kevin here. I will say, if they did raise this property, they would still, and try to go lot line, they'd still have to come back to the BZA. They can't go more than 10 feet beyond the adjoined property as a matter of right. So they still, it wouldn't be, there's still matter of right regulations they can do. But I will say, there was a old standalone house next to my house that the developer did just decide to raise the house. Now, in my case, it ended up being a good thing, because initially they were going much further back beyond my house, and then when they, after their BZA case, they changed architects and then decided just to adjoin, and then their addition was actually just set at 10 feet beyond my house, when I was happy with that. In this instance, the adjoined house, they could go a matter of right 10 feet beyond that, and I believe that, if they raised it and did a matter of right build, they could do matter of right would be 20 feet beyond on the existing houses, some of the other existing houses right now. I think they're asking to go an extra 5 feet beyond.
So it sounds like part of the issue here is that the immediate adjoining houses would only be 5 feet past those, but there are other houses on the street where it would be further back.
So the immediate adjoining house does have an addition that matches the house that they're currently in. So if they were to do the matter of right 10 feet, it is then 20 feet past all the other houses. It just happens that these two that have the party wall had already kind of built out, but they're asking then for an additional 5. So right now, matter of right would be 20 feet past my house. And then if we gave them, if we agreed to the extra 5, that would be 25 feet past the end of my house. And then the one on the left-hand side, it would be 25 feet past that one too.
Thanks, Don. That's the clarification I was looking for. I was losing a little bit of track of the different depth.
Yeah. I'd like to share my screen for 1 second. There's a tool Office of Zoning has, and it's a public tool. It's a 3D, you can bring up, and I'm here, this is the 12, and I'm not sure on my mouse here, which one of these is 1251. Tell me what my mouse is over 1251. Is that here? Is that 1251 here?
I think you're on the right one right now.
Okay. And
it's
so
one of those buildings. I'm not sure which one it is.
Yeah. And this is a tool the Office of Zoning released, and I've never used it, but you could I will say, by the way, the shadow study you've presented, I had seen a lot better shadow studies that better communicated to neighbors the impact to their properties. Given the fact that there are neighbors with solar systems, I do think we need to alleviate their concerns and present a much better shadow study. I think their solar systems will be okay. I don't think you have proven that with what you've presented tonight. Now this tool, actually, there's a thing, I've never used it. You could update a CAMZ file into this tool, and it would literally just it would add the story to the building and it would change just this building's model. And then we could actually do a real-time shadow study. And it's really, really handy. We just haven't used it yet. But where is that tool? You can do a shadow study, and it's actually quite, it'd be nice if you guys could either present, it's a light study. And you can actually click this here and give spring, summer, fall. We could show this to the neighbors, that how whether or how much or how little their solar systems would be impacted. So maybe you could do that, or just, Marty, I know you represented a lot of clients. You've seen a lot of shadow studies. I think we need to do a better job here helping the neighbors understand the impact of their solar systems. I think there actually won't be a lot of impact, but you guys haven't shown that at all.
Okay, we'll take a look at that, see if we can better present
Thank you
that.
so
Sharing
much,
my-
Mr. Robin. I hope
Kevin,
I hope you hear me. I'm on the Metro. I would really appreciate that, and thank you so much for mentioning it, Kevin. It's my SMD, but not that that matters. I don't know how much it matters, but I would really appreciate a better shadows study being done for the neighbors. Thank you.
Kevin, the house on that map you just showed that was the correct house was the one with the little shrub in front of it. And
Okay.
that had next to it sort of that little extension off to the right, which is actually a porch.
Yeah, I just, and General Marty, I think it would, some additional renders from the front, just so neighbors could see what's being proposed. It was hard for us, some of us look at plans all the time, for us to understand what's being proposed.
I get that, yeah, okay.
And and I just wanted to say that I'm a lot more likely to recommend it to the commission as a yes vote if you do that shadow study. I don't want the neighbors to be adversely affected. Thank you.
Anna, I think you should pause before you say that. Many of your constituents disagree with that. So yeah, pause before you say that.
I'm not a yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, I tried to get in. I'm sorry I haven't gotten in touch with you, but I'm going to do that like really soon. I did offer to, but nobody got in touch with me. So yeah.
This is Michelle at 1245 again. Looking at the shadow survey that you showed us, it looks like it's going over that current Dawn's place and hitting my house too.
Which one is your house? Which number can you tell us?
I'm 1245.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm sorry to cut you off. This is Commissioner Salvador. Just for the best of the time and the agenda, I think to the men that are presenting, thank you so much for coming out and showing what you have. But for our public meeting or for any other meetings moving forward, please invest in having the best renditions possible for us to kind of see this project for what it is. That's all.
I mean, I think some good news is your hearing isn't scheduled until June 14th. So the ANC isn't under pressure to vote on this at the May meeting. You guys could come to the May ANC meeting with them rendered. You could come to the May zoning committee meeting. The ANC doesn't have to vote on this until their June 12th meeting, which is still a couple days before your June hearing. But yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I
We can do that
think,
with the rendering.
Yeah.
I want to make a note about 1245, Kevin. Sorry, 1245 is to the southeast of us. There's no impact on 1245, so they can rest assured on that. The sun doesn't. The sun's between them and us, so it's we're focused on 1239.
You're going the other direction. The sun, it rises on 1239 and then it sets on 1245.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I put in the wrong address here. Hold on.
Yeah.
That's why it looks like it's hitting me.
Yeah, well, 45's 3 doors down. There's not going to be any impact on that.
Well, from what you
So, but
showed us, it
we'll
looks
show
like
that
it.
better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you guys have an estimate for the square footage? I mean, I appreciate family size units.
Yeah, each unit is about 1,500 square feet.
Okay.
Yeah, just like 5-6 square feet more and less.
Yeah. Personally, I'm not a fan when I see people chop up houses into like only 1 and 2 bedroom condos. I do like to see
3 bedrooms,
three
good
bedrooms.
sized condos. Yeah.
I did have a question though, and you might have to share the renderings. Was that light well or the light that courtyard you did? Was that required to have? It seemed to us like, let's just say the neighbor on the opposite side of you decided they were to build to their lot line. Right now, there's like almost like an egress through the neighbor's yard. Can you go to that image?
We even close it in our side elevation. So we don't need to get light from the side. We consider that they might do the same thing like us and eliminate the side yard. So we just want to get the light directly from the roof. From the top.
But is that intent, like that middle bedroom, where's its fire egress?
The fire egress for that, we probably need to add a stairs for that, for a ladder for that.
Right. Where are their windows?
Yeah, there are no windows.
There are windows. There are windows to the light well, but we can have ladder for that.
Oh, that's the.
So will the ladder go up to the roof?
Yeah.
May I suggest that you label that as a light well, because I did not
Sure.
register as a light well.
I will make all these changes for the submission.
And then the egress would be onto the neighbor's property.
No, it's gonna go to the roof.
Okay, not where I'd want to be if there was a fire, but just me. Yeah, I go.
Well, this is a quick question. The light well, that extension, when you extend it, I guess it would be eastward on the building. Will there be any space left between there and the building next to it?
It is for now, but if they want to do the same thing and eliminate the courtyard, there will not be anything. So that's why we decided to close it and have it completely for us.
Well, what I was trying to ask is, if that's the light well, then theoretically a ladder could go down to the ground if someone could get out from there.
No, it's gonna go to the top. It's not. It can't go to the ground because it's not gonna help us. It has to go to the roof.
That's what I'm asking, if there will be space off to the side of the well for someone to be able to escape that way.
For now, it is, but you know, as
not potentially, it may not exist in the future.
So we have to think for any change of the neighbor as well. Yeah.
And can that be like a standard ladder, or does it have to be one of those ladders that has, like, I think your renders, your plans need to be updated to show that.
These were basically this very preliminary phase. We want to come to ANC and get approval to, you know, do the, you know, best development of the drawing. So we are working on that, and we will figure out what we should do. But yeah, it's going to be some sort of egress ladder with a cage to make sure that it's not going to be harmful for the people.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And we said you have a zoning committee meeting or BZA hearing in June. Is that right?
June 14th. I believe so.
June 14th. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I think with that, you know, Marty, Nima, with that in mind, I would suggest that, you know, before you come before the ANC again, we want to see these changes incorporated. So we need to see the renderings for the ladder and the light well being labeled. And the other thing that I would say is that, you know, I think it's going to be important for the ANC to see evidence that you've had conversations with neighbors who have concerns and that you've taken steps to gain their support. That's a pretty standard part of our approval process. So I understand, you know, there's clearly outstanding concern here. My hope is that you'll be able to work with neighbors to assure them that things like the shadows will not have a negative impact on their properties, but it's going to be important to the ANC to see that.
Sure, absolutely.
So letters of support and things like that from neighbors would be really valuable.
Absolutely. Okay.
I think it would be also appropriate for Commissioner Roblin to call an SMD meeting so that she can actually hear from all of her constituents over here on the other side of her SMD.
I'm not sure if Commissioner Roblin's connection is holding up, but I think my suggestion to you, Tina, would be to reach out to her directly to make sure that you share that perspective with her, and that I'm sure she'd be glad to meet with you and other neighbors on Moore Street to talk about the project.
This is Michelle at 12:45. I'm looking forward to an ANC meeting to discuss this property.
Yeah, and you know, and the SMD meeting, we could just, if I would be open to attending that as well. We could actually do it at the site, you know, to help explain. You know, I definitely think we need to explain all the options.
I'll be open to that.
It says mute.
Can anybody hear me? Hello?
We can hear you, you know, yes.
Oh, great, thanks. I just wanted to say thank you, Dawn, for your comment, and Tina, thank you. I can't get back to people. My phone's working, getting back to specific people in the chat, but please contact me. I had reached out before, I forget, I think it was to you, Dawn, to please contact me, and nobody contacted me, but I have been so busy. I have not been able to get around to knock on the doors, but I do definitely want to connect and work with you all. I really appreciate your comment, Tina. Thank you.
We need to get her name, phone number, I know the name.
I think Dawn has it. I don't know her name.
I'm muted here. So I think we've given a lot of good feedback, and I appreciate Marty and Nima, you guys coming tonight and showing the project. And I think I can say we look forward to seeing you at the May zoning committee meeting to see the updates. I think we'll leave it there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Thanks, everyone. I tried to leave my contact email information in the chat. I'm not sure if I think I got it in there. So if any of the neighbors want to email me to open up connection with the owner, and you can get them in touch with the owner and share information and talk some more too. Thank you.
Thank you.
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay, well, folks, I really appreciate this meeting ran 30 minutes over, but I think it was well worth the extra time to dig into both these projects. So thank you so much, and hope you all have a good, safe evening, and see you all soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.